Hello and welcome back. We are on lesson 20, and I love this one because for me, it really helps activate the willpower within. You're like, yes, come on, let's go change my reality in the world. I love it. So, this lesson is all about I am determined to see. I am determined to see. Let that sink in. Just saying that alone. I am determined to see just gives me so much power to want to change things. So, this lesson centers on the idea that vision is a choice. It's a choice. We choose what we see based on our perception, which is based on the things that we think, right? So, what you choose to see and how you interpret what you see depends on your determination, your willpower, your willingness to want to see things differently. It encourages you to make a conscious decision to shift your perspective from fear and illusion to clarity and truth. In other words, you have the power to change your perception, and that change starts with a firm intention to see things differently. And this is an intention. This is saying, I am determined to see things differently. I'm determined to see them differently. We hold the power. We get to choose. And this is where so many people don't like to take responsibility. Truth is, people would rather sit in their own suffering, sit in victim consciousness, because they don't want to recognize that they have control at how they see the world based on their perception and based on the things that they continue to think. They'd rather be ignorant to that fact and therefore then continue to keep perpetuating the same circumstances over and over. And I always say, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always got, right? So you have to shift. And this shift starts from within. And this shift starts with you being determined to see things differently. And I want to give you an example. And I spoke about this example a couple of times. You look in the mirror and immediately think, I'm not good enough, or I don't like the way I look. I am determined to see would say, instead of saying that or recognizing that you see that or hear that or are thinking that, you would shift it to say, or you would shift it to say, I'm determined to see things differently. And you're inviting a different way, the true way to see who you really are. And this is what we teach in Inner Bloom. We help you bloom into the real you, right? Because the illusion of I'm not good enough, I'm not pretty enough, I don't like this, I don't like that is ego. It's not the truth of who you are. The truth of who you are doesn't look at you through that lens. There is no measuring stick to say I'm not good enough. How is that even? How does that phrase even exist, by the way? I'm not good enough. Where's the measuring stick? What are you scaling it against? What parameters? Who made those parameters up? Your own mind, your own judgments, your own thoughts. And so it's in those moments that this lesson is inviting us to be determined to see things differently.
Yeah. Yeah. And those thoughts that you mentioned, the ones that are creating this false measuring stick, are also based on things that you've experienced and learned from the past. So somebody, you have a parent who's maybe overly critical of other women, like women, and says, oh, they're a little overweight, or they need to fix this or whatever. That creates little snapshots that then become your inner judge, who, when you look at the mirror, you go, oh, I need to lose a little weight here, or I need to fix this, or oh, this and this, because you learned it somewhere in the past and it stuck with you, and it's a little snapshot that you're replaying as thought. So this false measuring stick that was created by somebody else's limitations that they were repeating, someone else's ideas of lack, someone else's false ideas of not being good enough, or other people not being good enough. Yeah, I am determined to see. And another, when we can bring it to the everyday examples, but also on the bigger scale, this I'm determined to see, like Sammy mentioned when just a few minutes ago, it's about this whole course. I am determined to see with clear seeing. I am determined to see what's beyond this false meaning that I've been placing on the world with this ego-based thoughts. I'm determined to see truth. I'm determined to see the way that God, source, actually created things, not my little ego meaning that I'm putting on things. And as Sammy mentioned, your desire, your determination to see is all that's required for you to get there. The very fact that you have decided, I am determined to see, is what is going to guarantee that you will see. And separation between you and God. There is no separation between you and source. That determination, that desire is God's desire, is source's desire for that clear seeing to happen through you. This is also the true cause and effect. Your conviction, your deciding, your desire, your commanding will be the cause, and the effect will be that happening, that opening up to that being your reality. And you already mentioned that we are trading the way that we saw things previously for this new way of seeing. So that part's really important. I had that in my notes. So you're opening yourself up to a better way of seeing things. You're opening yourself up to see things in the perspective of that love, peace, joy, security, all those things you are seeking for. This seeing clearly is what will open you up to actually experiencing that and seeing that clearly in your reality and in yourself. So the way that you apply this today is going to be different than we've been doing in previous lessons. And this is another example of where that little note card would come in handy. Take a little index card, a little note card, write the statement, I am determined to see. And I'll tell you the way that the course has this practice period, and then I'll give you a little bit, a few notes on my suggestions. So the course asks that we repeat the statement, I am determined to see, slowly and positively every half hour, at least twice an hour. So it recommends every half hour. It says, don't worry if you forget, but be determined to say it. Do your best to make sure that you say it. I want to take a little bit of pressure off, like, oh God, I got to do this every half hour for you, because that I found from the course is one thing that could be shifted a little bit. But I do recommend taking that note card and having that statement, again, in your mirror, in your visor, somewhere you're going to be. And every time you're looking at it, say the sentence slowly, I am determined to see. Make sure that you're doing it throughout the day. Make sure you're doing it consistently. Make sure you're doing it up to several times an hour, but don't worry so much about making sure you're doing it every hour on the half hour, or twice an hour on the half hour. I want to take that away from this. I think that could kind of get in the way. So instead of worrying so much about that, I would just, like, again, put it, if you work at a desk, put it at your desk. If you drive a lot, put it in your little visor. If you check your mirror a lot, if you put it in your mirror, in your wallet, somewhere where you're going to see it often, so you can practice it often throughout the day. And then in addition to that practicing, you can apply this to anything, anyone, or any situation that seems to upset you. I'm determined to see, meaning you want to see in clear vision and true vision, from the vision of love, peace, and joy, as opposed to this false image that you've been creating with your mind and your thoughts. And that's what I have. Anything to add?
I love that. Thank you. I wrote it on my hand. I am determined to see. I am. I'm so determined. I've carved it on my body and carved it, engraved it. Do you know what's really funny? As we're talking more about seeing, my eyes feel so sore and they're like watering. And I said, as a result of doing this, I've noticed like I keep clearing away like a fog from my eyes. And it's like there's a film that covers over my eyes, and then I have to wipe it away and trust that is the effect of all the undoing we are doing, right? And Corina said the other day in a previous lesson about the white spots and the particles. I see that often. And yesterday I saw a really big one. And it excites me now because I'm like, that means I'm undoing and unlearning what I think I've known, and I'm starting to see truth. I start to see so much more color as well. And so the effects of doing this work is incredible. You know, we're becoming more aware. We're using the power of our awareness to create a life that's rooted in love, not fear. You know, these lessons alone, we've been doing it what now for we're at 20, 21 days. You know, 30 days, these lessons alone will change your life. And so if you've not been following along, that's okay. You're exactly where you're meant to be. And like, just appreciate the journey. See it through the lens of love, not fear, right? And if you can really embody that, like, this is so eye-opening. It's such a beautiful journey that we get to take whenever, wherever. You're on your own journey, we're on ours. You have to honor that and not put any pressure on yourself, and recognize where you're judging yourself and where you're falling back into fear, and recognize you have a choice. You have a choice in every single moment.
Yeah, and about the, seeing the sparkles or seeing the light, one thing for the audience that I just want to make very clear is that if that doesn't happen for you, it does not mean that you are any less on your way. It's just one of the side effects that could happen. Another thing is that that could go away, and it doesn't mean that you've gone backwards or that you're not going further into clear seeing. Again, it's just this kind of side effect. So if it doesn't happen, don't worry. If it happens and goes away, don't worry. If it happens, don't attach too much meaning to it. Don't think that like that's something that has to happen or you have to make it happen more or anything. Just if it happens, just notice it. Just notice that and notice that and know that it's a common little side effect.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, because then you know what it's like, isn't it? Everyone's like, well, why aren't I doing that? It's not working. I'm not doing it anymore. Everyone's going to have different effects, right? Because every cause is different. So what happens for me might not happen for you. What happens for Corina might not happen for us or for me. And that's okay. It's beautiful that we get to share our experiences. It's not to be like, I need that or I want that to happen. You honor your own experience. Start tuning into what you're experiencing rather than fixating and worrying about what others are experiencing, right? This is your journey, nobody else's. Right, amazing. So we will see you tomorrow.